Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome back. For some of you, I got a lot of great feedback this morning on my video on the pyramid flip and the highlight reel. And I had other people saying, hey, can you set up another video to go through that and what activities should be in there and this and that. And I thought, well, hey, it'd be a good idea here this afternoon just to run through that. So I wanted to set that up for you guys and talk through ways that we really need to reframe this pyramid flip in our mind and really just kind of think through, okay, how are we setting up the things that are around us? How are we setting up all of the things that we need to accomplish and need to get done? So if you guys remember what I'd said on the highlight reel, those are going to be moments in your life from as far back as you can think that are going to be mountaintop moments for you. They're going to be moments for you when you were on top of the world. And it's going to be different for you than a lot of other people. There may be things on my highlight reel that I think are, totally awesome, and other people may look at that and think that it's totally insignificant. And you just got to figure out what your highlight reel was. But the thing I loved about the highlight reel is just the fact that basically you could list out the things that were important to you in your life. You could list out the things that you wanted to do or that you did earlier in life that were mountaintop moments. Those are the things that made you the person you are today. Those are the things that made you the individual that you are. And so as we go through this pyramid flip, where we talk about things in the outhouse, the safe house, and the penthouse, I also want to show you guys how we can use both the highlight reel. As we're going through the 6 vision building activities in From Success to Significance, I want to show you guys how we can use the highlight reel as our starting point. We can use the pyramid flip. We can use the legacy statements that we're going to design later on in the book as you guys are following along with the videos. All of that is going to be used to help you guys really attack 2017, hopefully like you never have before, right? So I want to draw this off, and I'm no artist, okay? You can ask my wife. Hopefully you guys can see this. But if we start off here with a pyramid, let me see if I can get this to focus for you guys a little better. Okay, it's not going to do it. There we go. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. That's a pyramid. But basically, we want to divide this thing up into 3 different parts here. And up here at the top is where we have the penthouse. Oh, everything's going to be backwards in the camera. I forgot about that. But up here at the top is where we have the penthouse. Right here in the middle is where we have the safe house. And down here on the bottom is where we have the outhouse. And for most people out there, they end up spending the majority of their time in the outhouse. And those are going to be on things that we don't like to do. And again, it's going to be different for you than it's going to be for me, but these are going to be things that you don't like to do. Fill in the blank, whatever it is for you. You can do a pyramid for your business. You can do a pyramid for your home. I would say just combine it all together. That way you've got it all in one. But a pyramid for your business, a pyramid for your home. So down here on the outhouse activities, just fill in anything that are more of what I would say are shoulds. I know that's backwards in the camera there, but anything that's going to be shoulds. I should do this, I should do that, but it's not anything that it ignites your energy whatsoever. Okay, those are going to be your shoulds. The safe house in the middle is actually a little bit more dangerous for zapping our potential future growth, simply because you can get caught up in the safe house doing things that don't feel that uncomfortable, doing things that are just sort of, they don't really give you a lot of anxiety. They don't show up on the radar, but yet they're not anything that's helping you grow. We're either green and growing, or we're dead and we're dying, and I want to be growing. And so the goal would be to get up in the top, to get up here in this penthouse, right up here where we're doing the things that we want to do in our life. And again, that's going to be different for all of us, but you've got to map that out. The safe house right here in the middle, this is the dead zone. This is where we don't want to end up, because again, things can feel comfortable, but yet what? You blink, 10 years have gone by in your life, and you really haven't accomplished a lot of really super significant or amazing things. Why? Because you've just been comfortable in that middle section there. So we want to stay out of that. Up here at the top, these are going to be our wants, and this is where it's at up here in the penthouse. We want to make sure that we're doing this. But look at how that looks, guys. If you look at this triangle here, let me remove this real quick. If you remove that wants there, we'll just put a W right there. that's the smallest part of the pyramid, and there's a reason for that, and that's because most people spend a very small amount of time doing the things that would really move the needle for them. They spend a lot of time here in the safe house, and most of us spend even more time here in the outhouse, okay? So I want you to check in with yourself on that. Where in your daily schedule, and really look at it for the new year, right? Where in your daily schedule are you guys spending your time when it comes to your calendar? When you look over your calendar, are more of your items in the shoulds? Are more of your items in kind of what I would just call the growth death zone here in the safe house? Doesn't feel bad, but it also doesn't really help you a lot. Or are most of your activities right up here in the penthouse, which is where our overall our wants should consume most of our calendar? And so I want to ask you guys a few questions that if you've got the book From Success to Significance, you're going to be able to you're going to pinpoint this really quickly. What are you guys doing as far as mapping out your day? You guys probably heard Jordan Earls and I in our last podcast talk through the green card. I just sent that out today on Facebook. If you're connected with me on Facebook, just go to my Success 101 podcast page or my page, and you're going to be able to see where I linked the green card. Now, it's not green. It's a white piece of paper, right? We just put it on a green card because it stands out among everything else in the office. I think I've got one right here. Let me grab it really quickly, and let me adjust these color settings here if I can. So this is a green card that you guys see that I've marked up quite a bit here. I've got a filter on my phone, so I can't tell if this is coming through very clearly. But this is one that I've marked up here. Again, it has my yesterday's meetings on it. It has my reminders. It has today's meetings, and then it has what some of the things that my staff are doing here. Okay, this helps us stay on track each day. If I try to come up with other ways to design my pyramid or design my calendar, those are things that are going to get added to the green card, right? So the questions that I had mentioned in the book that I want you guys to think about when it comes to this section right here in the outhouse, where you're spending most of your time on your shoulds. What are tasks that you hope to never do again? Okay, for business owners out there, I work with a lot of you guys. I want you guys to think through, what is it that I should never be doing again in my business? That's going to come down to delegation. That's going to come down to just things that are going to zap your energy, that other people, well-qualified people, if you can get rid of your control mentality, myself included, right? If you can get rid of that control mentality, you can spend some time adequately training someone else to handle it, let them handle it. Those are going to be ideas that we don't have to come back to here in this should column right here. But what tasks cause me to habitually procrastinate? You don't have to be a business owner to ask that question, right? Am I procrastinating on certain things that I should be diving into? Likely the reason you're not diving into those is because the energy is not there. You don't have any, it doesn't excite you to want to dive into those. Another question in the book here that we put down, what tasks cause me anxiety or frustration? During what tasks do I immediately have a bad attitude? So those are just a few sample questions from the book, From Success to Significance, that I want you guys to ask yourself when it comes to that outhouse version, as we're trying to, as you'll see in the exercise if you guys have the book, as we're trying to flip this pyramid upside down to where our penthouse or our wants here are actually still on the top, but now they occupy this larger section here. And I would argue for most people out there that I work with, their biggest reason that they're not excited about the new year, beyond the fact that they've tried to set goals instead of setting commitments and they failed at those because they didn't have a clear purpose, it's simply because they're just really not excited. They can't see whatever that is out there that would cause them to get super excited on the things that they are trying to do, okay? So what I want you guys to do is think about flipping this pyramid upside down to where our should category here, or the outhouse, is actually on the bottom now, where we have this at the top here. And try to stay out of the safe zone. That's where your growth is gonna get killed long term, because there's just not any momentum there. There's nothing there for you to push forward with. And I'll go over a few of those here in just a second. Let me turn the camera around for you and remove a couple of things that have popped up on the screen here. If I can get this thing to turn without falling. Okay, so what you guys can see now is you can see, basically you can see that I flipped this pyramid upside down. And so the point with this now is to still take those 3 columns. But what are we doing now? We're taking the penthouse, which is up here, which is going to be our wants, right? Let me get on the other side here so I can draw it. These are going to be our wants. These are going to be our shoulds. And all we've done is we've taken a very simple exercise. We have flipped it upside down so that now we're not spending so much time down here in our shoulds. We're also probably spending about the same amount of time here. So whether you flip the pyramid upside down or you've got it right side up, you're likely going to spend the same amount of time right here in this section. That's why this is kind of the depth zone when it comes to your goals and your ideas, simply because if we're not identifying these, which are typically things that are not damaging to our fatigue, they're not damaging to our stress, they're just the things that you just kind of work through. In fact, they might even be enjoyable, right, in the safe zone. So a few questions that I wrote down for the safe house section there in the middle. During what activities do I feel like I'm just going through the motion? Ask yourself that. When you look at your calendar, what activities are you just going through the motion on? Those are the ones that are not going to propel you to the levels that you want to get to. What activities are easy, right? They're comfortable, but they're not adding any value to my life. What activities do I consistently rank as low priority? So again, they're not harming you. They're not stressing you out. They might even be okay to go through, but they rank as a really low priority. We're going to find that right here in this safe zone. What activities feel safe but uninspiring? And I would say for most of the people that I'm coaching and working with, they are caught up in a lot of really safe activities that are very uninspiring. But the thought of having to go into something they don't want to do, or the thought of having to go into something they do want to do, but the actions it would take to get there, where does it keep them? It keeps them right here in this middle zone, right? So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're flipping this pyramid upside down, as my good friend Curtis Estes talks about all the time, to where now your wants are a lot higher up and they have a lot more attention to them. In fact, let's look at some of the questions from the book on the wants category. We've got a lot more attention here. We're spending a lot more of our calendar space here. We've got to be careful of the safe zone here, the safe house, because that's going to be the same size whether we flip it upside down or not, and this is where most people end up hanging out. But then we want to make sure that our shoulds down here in the outhouse are the things that we don't want to get caught up doing. Those are way down here. So we've got to flip the pyramid upside down. So a couple of the things to think about on the penthouse. The way I described it on my video this morning and the way we describe it in the book is this is our ultimate goal. This is where your energy is. This is where dreams are created and realized. This is where you can really make a difference. But at the end of the day, if you're not flipping the pyramid upside down, you're going to find out that most of your day is consumed with a lot of stuff on your calendar in the outhouse. And that will absolutely kill the momentum that you have going forward. Okay? So here are a few questions from the penthouse. If I had nothing scheduled for the rest of today, what would I love to do? That's a very powerful question I found. I ask that to people all the time, whether it's in my planning business or in my coaching business or working with people or just even with friends. What is it that if you had nothing scheduled for the rest of the day, if time wasn't an issue, if money wasn't an issue, what would you want to go and do? During what tasks do I feel most alive? I think that's a question that we just don't ask ourselves enough. What do you feel most alive doing, and how can we build more of those wants into the larger part of your calendar? If failure was not an option, what would I do? If you guys knew you could go out today and start a business and failure was not even an option, it's not even on the radar, what would you guys go do? And I can promise you they'd be huge. They'd be unbelievably huge because that's what's inside of you. Those things are inside of you, but they only come out when you say, what if failure wasn't an option? When we remove that tagline, suddenly those things come out. Well, that shows that they're there. It's just that you're keeping them trapped in because you think about failure instead of thinking about moving forward. I love to tell a story by Jimmy Johnson. I can't even remember where I heard this. Jimmy Johnson's coaching the Dallas Cowboys, and they're in the Super Bowl playing the Bills. One of the 10 times or whatever they played the Bills in a row. But he puts this big giant 2x4 down on the ground, and he tells these big, 350-pound linemen to walk across it. Of course, they jump up there and walk across it. Wasn't too hard, right? He says, what if we took this same board, same width, same dimension, same length, same everything, you're the same person.